and I am the chair of the Boston City Council Committee on Government Operations. Today is June 18th, 2025, and it is exactly 10:04. In accordance with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, modifying certain requirements of the open meeting law and relieving public bodies of certain requirements, including the requirement that public bodies conduct its meetings in a public place that is open and physically accessible to the public, the City Council will be conducting this hearing virtually via Zoom. This hearing is also being recorded. It's being live streamed at boston.gov/city-council-tv and broadcast on Xfinity Channel 8, RCN Channel 82, and FiOS Channel 964. Written comments may be sent to the committee email at ccc.go@boston.gov and will be made a part of the record and available to all councilors. Public testimony will be taken at the end of this hearing. Individuals will be called on in the order in which they signed up and will have 2 minutes to testify. If you want to provide any testimony, please email Megan at meagan.corugedo@boston.gov for the Zoom link, and your name will be added to the list. Today, it's going to be a hearing, but I also think it's going to be a hybrid working session just because we do have some language edits that I believe have already been sent over to the lead sponsor and other colleagues, but it is a hearing on 2 dockets. So 0549, which is the petition for a special law, where we have some edits framing from past dockets in the State House, but it's a petition for a special law regarding an act relative to pension benefits for firefighter Leo J. Bracken. The matter was sponsored by Councilors Ed Flynn and Aaron Murphy and referred to the committee on February 26, 2025. And then the second docket is 0550, a petition for a special law regarding an act relative to the pension of Michael Sullivan. This was also sponsored by Councilor Flynn and referred to the committee on February 26th. Today, I'm joined by my colleagues in order of arrival, Councilor Flynn and Councilor Weber. I also want to acknowledge that we've been given a letter of absence from Council President Louis-Jean. I'll pass it to the lead sponsor for any opening remarks he may have, and then I'll introduce the first panel for docket 0549, which includes Mr. Bracken and then also Mr. O'Reilly. But I'll go over to Councilor Flynn for any opening remarks he may have.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for sponsoring this important discussion this morning. Also want to say thank you to Michael O'Reilly as well. Want to say thank you to Lieutenant Leo Bracken for the outstanding work he's done as a lieutenant on the Boston Firefighter. My opening statement, Chair Coletta for chairing this important hearing, again to Lieutenant Bracken and his representative, Michael O'Reilly, for being here. This is a home rule petition for Leo Bracken. Fire Lieutenant Bracken sustained serious injuries while in the performance of duties on October 17th, 2019. He is totally and permanently injured and incapacitated for further service as a Boston firefighter. Fire Lieutenant Bracken served the city of Boston with honor and distinction for over 35 years. He started his career with the Boston Fire Department on October 1986 and was promoted to Fire Lieutenant in January 1993 and served on Ladder 26 in Mission Hill and at Ladder 29 in Mattapan. On October 17th, 2019, Fire Lieutenant Bracken was responding to an incident at the firehouse. It was reaching for the apparatus floor via the fire pole, but due to an existing flooding situation, as he attempted to grab the pole and wrap his legs around it to regulate his descent down, the water prevented him from being able to effectively slow his descent from the pool, and he free fell more than 20 feet down to the concrete apparatus floor, buckling his legs, causing him to fall backwards and hitting his head. As a result of these severe injuries, Fire Lieutenant Bracken is permanently disabled and was forced into early retirement. He cut his career short as a firefighter, a job he loved. In addition, Fire Lieutenant Bracken is also very skilled and talented as a master electrician. And his injuries, unfortunately, eliminated any chance of potential future earnings as a licensed master electrician. Fire Lieutenant Bracken is currently retired and receiving an accidental disability retirement pursuant to Chapter 32, Section 7. This home rule petition seeks to secure further benefits for Lieutenant Bracken from being totally and permanently injured and incapacitated from any further service as a firefighter. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Flynn. And before I turn it over to Fire Lieutenant Bracken and his representation, Mr. O'Reilly, who's a legislative agent for the Massachusetts Association of Retirement Systems, just to, for transparency purposes, and also for my vice chair as well, who is here, Councilor Weber, the purpose of this act is to increase Lieutenant Bracken's pension beyond the 72% cap set under Mass General Law, Chapter 32, Section 7, bringing it to 100% of the compensation he would have received had he remained in service. It authorizes post-retirement indemnification of medical expenses under MGL Chapter 41, Sections 100 and 100B. 3, it enhances survivor benefits for his spouse, granting her 75% of his pension upon his death. 4, it provides earnings flexibility post-retirement by lifting the full cap under Section 91A. 5, ensures COLA eligibility under Section 103 for both the retiree and his surviving spouse. And last, maintains compliance with tax law and state retirement system structures. And we can get into that, but I will now pass it over to Lieutenant Bracken or his representation for any statements that you may have. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your service. The Zoom is now yours.
Good morning, Chairwoman Coletta Zapata and Vice Chair Weber. So grateful for you to hold this hearing and allow us the opportunity to testify before you and the rest of the Government Services Committee, as well as Councilor Flynn for sponsoring this home rule petition. As a way of introduction, my name is Michael O'Reilly. I am a Boston firefighter myself, former legislative agent for Boston Firefighters Local 718, and as mentioned before, the current legislative agent for the Massachusetts Contributory Association, Massachusetts Association of Contributory Retirement Systems. It always twist my tongue when I try to get that all out. That's why I just say MACRIS. But anyways, Councilor Flynn kind of stole my thunder, but I won't get into a lot of the details that Councilor Flynn just mentioned, but I will add a few things. First of all, Lieutenant Bracken, he was born and raised in High Park, lifelong resident of High Park. He, as Councilor Flynn mentioned, he worked his last tour of duty on October 17, 2019. One thing I will add as well in these documents, as many as we could come up with, is this flooding situation had been occurring for at least 10 years. There was 10 years of Form 5s from various house captains of the firehouse on Blue Hill Ave, Engine 52 and Ladder 29, to fix the flooding situation, the roof situation. Some of these Form 5s go way back into the 80s. I would imagine they probably, in good intent, would send a roofer out or someone out to attempt to fix it, but never really fixing the problem. As Councilor Flynn mentioned, Lieutenant Bracken's career was cut short due to this fall. On the day of October 17th, it was the weather in the city was it was raining. Very heavy rain, in which is the type of rain that causes this flooding through the roof into the second floor of the firehouse. Like any other rainy day like this, companies all over the city responding to many rain-induced incidents, car accidents, water leaks, of the such. Again, as mentioned, when Lieutenant Bracken, they had come back from a run, he went to the officer's room to try to catch up on some paperwork. They received another run on his way to the apparatus floor via the fire pole. He hit the flooded area. The way the officer's room, it comes out to a hallway right to the pole, so there was no way to avoid this area. He come out. Obviously, we were all taught you make up your time on in the firehouse and on the main floor, not on the road. In his effort to get to the apparatus and out the door as quick as he could, he hit the flooded waters, basically hydroplaned across the floor, and was able to, fortunately enough, was able to right himself upright in order to land on his feet versus on his head or anything else, and making his fall worse. Anyways, Lieutenant Bracken, he was then transported to Boston Medical Center. He had left ankle, left knee, left hip, back injuries. Doctor diagnosed his ankle injury as a sprain. Subsequently treated and released him. I also will mention when he returned back to the firehouse after being released at discharge from Boston Medical Center, there was actually a roofing company there. So they were able to get him out pretty quick once they found out that or realized somebody had fallen, taken this fall. They started PT on a lot of his injuries. For some reason or other, there was never an MRI done until after a lengthy PT and pain and swelling persisted, that they finally did an MRI, where they then realized that he had a pylon fracture of his ankle, abnormalities of his medial and lateral meniscus of the knee. The MRI also revealed a fracture of the L1 vertebrae body and disc abnormalities of the L5, S1, and L1, L2 vertebrae. He was placed in a boot for the left ankle and instructed to not bear weight. As a result of this, not bearing weight and basically not being able to do anything, he developed blood clots in his leg, in his ankle, which then traveled to his lungs, causing a pulmonary embolism in his lungs. As Councilor Flynn also noted, Lieutenant Bracken, a very skilled and talented licensed master electrician, a skill which was often sought by incident commanders and chiefs throughout the department. When Leo was working, Lieutenant Bracken was working, they could always rely on him on any electricity during fires with a lot of water being used can be dangerous. Also, any electrical related fire incidents, they would refer to Lieutenant Bracken for his expert advice and opinions and how really the electrical system works. Again, I thank the committee. I thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, for holding the hearing. I will turn it over to Lieutenant Bracken and let him speak more of the injuries and the pain and suffering that he has endured due to this accident.
Thank you so much.
Hello, Madam Chair and Vice Chair Weber and Councilman Flynn. Mike O'Reilly pretty much hit everything that thing. I had back surgery. I still have, they couldn't do surgery on it was a pylon fracture on my ankle, so it swells up every day. Once I'm on my feet for very long, and it really affects my sleep. And of course, all the back surgery and all the other stuff. But it's made me that I can't do the electrical work either. And my wife doesn't work, so we pretty much have a single earner family with the pension and all that stuff. So that's why we're seeking this. I thank you all for listening to this.
Thank you so much, and I'm so sorry that you had to endure what you've had to over the last couple of years. Just for again, my vice chair, and feel free to ask any questions that you want. There's a couple of other points that I just want to highlight as well. So there were 3 independent physicians and a regional medical panel that certified that Lieutenant Bracken is permanently disabled and incapable of performing the essential duties of a fire lieutenant, and it was determined to be natural and approximate results of the October 17th, 2019 incident. And then in August 2021, the Boston Retirement Board approved his application for accidental disability retirement under the existing Mass General Law. And so just for everyone else's edification, I do think that the legal justification and factual justification is there. It's clear that his injuries resulting from a hazardous duty-related fall are clearly duty-connected, severe and permanent, and given that there is precedent on this, Officer in 2022, both Officer Scott O'Brien and Officer Kurt Stokinger, I believe that's how you say his name, established a clear pattern of granting similar relief for first responders with duty-related permanent injuries. We can get into the language, I think, in a little bit, but I do want to pass it over to first the lead co-sponsor and then Vice Chair Weber for any questions they may have. Councillor Flynn, you have the floor.
Thank you. And thank you, Madam Chair. And again, thank you to Lieutenant Bracken for your service to the residents of the city and to the country as well. Thank you. And Madam Chair, I know this is officially documented through medical experts that it happened on site, and it's documented by, was it 3 different medical providers? Is that what you mentioned, Madam Chair?
Yep, 3 independent treating physicians, and there are relevant docs in the folder that's been provided that has 10 points or 10 different correspondences if folks want to review that. Okay.
No, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for that response. Leo, throughout your career, you were a firefighter, and then you obviously passed the examination to become a lieutenant. That you probably spent a lot of time studying that and providing leadership to other firefighters. And then I know Michael highlighted, and I highlighted your experience as an electrician, a master electrician. Can you tell us, and Michael highlighted that also, but can you tell us, Leo, as a master electrician, how that helped the Boston Fire Department, and was that time consuming for you to become a master electrician in terms of training, education, experience? And I don't know if they have an examination to become a master electrician, but can you just tell us about the time commitment you put in to become a master electrician? Because I'm sure it benefited, and I know it benefited the residents of Boston.
Yes, Councilor. To become an electrician, you have to become an apprentice first. There's a 4-year apprenticeship, and you have to go to school at night also, and then you become a journeyman electrician. That's a test you have to take and pass, of course. And then you have to do at least well, when I took it anyway, you had to do at least one more year of actual work, and uh, I think it's like 400 hours more of school to take your master's electrician. And so there's quite a bit of training and schooling for it. I worked a lot in high-rise buildings and with, generation, generator plants, and all the elevators, that type of thing. So a lot of times when there was complicated fires, the chiefs would ask me to tell them what I thought was electrically prudent for them to either shut things down or, whether sometimes at Edison fires, they actually, Edison would actually suggest to do some things that the chiefs had asked me, and I said I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't put my man in there for that. And I think Edison was more worried about their equipment than our men. There was many times that chiefs consulted me because they all knew I was an electrician.
That education and that time you put in, that experience, that education, that knowledge benefited the residents of the city. Certainly it benefited the Boston Fire Department. And then when you became retired through this injury, not only do we lose an experienced fire lieutenant, but we also lost an experienced fire lieutenant with a great deal of knowledge on electricity, and a master electrician. So I think that has an impact as well. Let me ask Leo, if this incident didn't happen and you retired at the regular age that you were planning to retire, was your plan to work in the electrical field and continue employment, or was this something you just dedicated to the Boston Fire Department so you could be as knowledgeable as you could about how to respond to a fire, especially when electrical issues are involved?
No, I did it for both. I also became an EMT just so that to be better at my job on the fire. So I did it for that too. But I also did it to supplement my income because my wife wasn't working or bringing in, so it was a one-earner family, and I planned on going to the end, retire on superannuation, and then still keep working. Not always full time, but I mean, I wanted to keep working as an electrician because I enjoyed it too. I mean, the fire department, they make you retire at 65. I don't know if I would have even wanted to retire then if I would have had a choice, but because I loved the job and I also loved being an electrician. So now I can't do either. So that's.
Yeah, thank you, Leo. So Leo, you're currently at 72%. Is that accurate?
Yes.
That's accurate. If this injury didn't happen, you could have made significantly more money to support your family. Is that accurate? Yes,
it is. I actually, for a long time worked a second steady job to help my family. But then I went, the academy asked me to come down and help them with training the recruits. So I did give that up for a little while and went down there and did that. And then I went back and then I was just doing side jobs pretty much. Someone would ask me, can you do this? Can you do that? But I planned on doing that after I retired, yes, and supplementing my income.
So the 72% that you receive really is not making it for you and your family in terms of dignity and retirement. in paying your bills and probably, I don't want to embarrass you, but it's struggling at an age where you don't want to struggle financially. Is that accurate, Leo?
Yes, that's accurate.
Well, my point of asking that question is, you know, you've worked hard your whole career in the Boston Fire Department and saved lives through your professionalism and dedication, and put yourself above others, and put your health above others as well for the residents of Boston. You know, I would support, you know, the maximum allowable percentage that we are able to advocate for, because I don't think we're giving you anything, Leo. I think these are benefits that really you've earned through your sacrifice and through your career and through your pain as a Boston fire lieutenant. So I don't think we as a city are giving you anything. These are benefits that should be provided to you because of your career and your injuries that you sustained in the line of duty. And I might add that this could have been prevented if we knew that we did know that there was an ongoing issue with water leaks at the firehouse. Maybe that's a topic for another time, but I just am adamant that you deserve to be treated with respect and dignity, and I want to do everything we can as a city to support you and to ensure you are able to retire in dignity.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Councilor Flynn.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I don't necessarily have any further questions for now, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you so much. Council Weber may be having microphone issues. I'll just go to him in the event that he's able.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Ethan, way to go. Sorry, we've been working on this. Yeah, I have a couple questions. Is it okay, Chair?
Absolutely. The floor is yours.
So in terms of the process here, you know, and maybe this is more for Michael. I mean, so have you made a presentation to the retirement board, or like what has happened up till now? You know, I have questions about like kind of the city council's role in this. Seems a little strange that we would sort of be functioning. Obviously, we're advocating for people who provided great service to the city, like, you know, Lieutenant Bracken, and but has somebody already said no to this before coming to us?
Good morning, Vice Chair Weber. No, that's not as a former retirement board member. The answer to that is actually no, because that's not really how the system works. Under the law, Chapter 32, Section 7, based on his injuries, it would be an accidental disability retirement. However, once he was retired and pensioned off the job at 72%, and even though sometimes it takes a year and maybe sometimes a little more, in that time, you know, is when you realize that not only is he totally incapacitated from the fire department, but also totally incapacitated from being able to do anything. Anything. Knowing Lieutenant Bracken like I do, I know that his plan was to retire at probably age 65. Superannuation. And then go and do a little bit of electrical work here and there just to kind of enhance his pension. But so what happens is you file for accidental disability, and at that point it's at 72%. People who retire on an accidental disability at 72%. After the first year, they can earn the difference between their pension they're receiving, the position in which they left, what they're currently paying, plus 15,000. So what it basically equates to is a part-time job. So even a disabled firefighter or police officer off on a 72%, they have the capacity to basically work the equivalent of a part-time job, up to 1,200 hours, or like I said, the formula in which the money, the income that they can earn, and so the purpose of now seeking to enhance the benefit to 100% is that ability to work that, say, part-time job has been eliminated for Lieutenant Bracken, and all for what I call a needless accident. And I had forwarded to Councilor Flynn's office, and I can certainly forward them to you, all the Form 5s that I was able to go back and recover, which were the forms to request a roof being fixed.
Yeah, no. So let's just I don't think you even need to go any further on that. Let's assume that fire department, the city's at fault, that he would be working as an electrician or anything else after he retired, even on disability. Is the normal process to go to the city council, or do you go to the did you try to get this additional benefit through the retirement board? And you explain it to like on a third grade level. Like I don't assume I know exactly how this works. So that's my question.
No. So what happens, Counselor, is when you retire out of that 72%, anything that's above and beyond that has to come through what we call a special act. I think currently right now there's somewhere on 22, 23 different special acts. And those things, that special act has to come through a home rule petition through the city. The city, has to go through this process and then send it to the legislature. And then the legislature then has to take this home rule, this special act, and run it through their process. So there is no avenue. There's no way for somebody to petition the retirement board for 100%. That's just not how it works. It has to be through a special act. Through.
Okay, and then so do we have to make like a factual determination about the nature of the cause of the injury and the extent of the disability? Like what does the state legislature need to see from us?
So basically it would be the home rule petition stating that the city of Boston approves the enhanced pension of Leo Bracken. And again, the reason they do it this way is because it's basically what I call it's a one-off. So this isn't changing the law or doing anything for anybody else except for the named person. And so what that legislature gets is basically the home rule, which would be the language for the legislation. Basically, just would be awarding Lieutenant Bracken the 100% pension due to his, the nature of the injuries and the extent of the injuries.
Okay, and then, so let's say all this passes, so then the retirement benefit, because I was looking at the home rule, I was, again, or getting confused. It would be 100% of the salary he would have earned, or is it 80%? Can you just explain what the benefit is if this passes this?
Yeah, so it would be 100% of the salary that he would have earned had he continued in service. So
And that accounts for that part-time work that you're allowed to have after retiring. Is that the idea?
so it doesn't account for it, but the reason in asking, coming to the city and asking to enhance it, to the home rule to increase it 100% is because that opportunity was taken away. He can no longer earn, anything. And so that's why. And I think, if he was disabled and in some, I don't know, fell down the stairs at a fire or something like that, it'd be a totally different story. The reason we're here is due to what I would call the negligence of the fire department and, the length of time, and, because I'm still active firefighter, I still have I was just actually talking to a guy the other day at that firehouse. And it actually wasn't too long ago that they had roofers out there again. So, this happened in 19 and, there's still problems. There's problems, so it's, and not that we're trying to point a finger and saying, oh, it's the city's fault, but it is what it is, right? And so had, the fire department, the city, replaced the roof or did more. Like I said, it was a constant problem. I was in that firehouse and I know the flooding situation that happens. You're not talking just a little bit of wet water on the floor. You're talking 4 to 6 inches on the second floor by the pole hole and, created this very dangerous situation. That's the reason. Like I said, it's kind of to not included in the side, any other income, but to kind of, it's kind of a way of compensating him a little bit because he is unable to earn. That's why that we are seeking the 100%. And like I said, there's no avenue to petition the retirement board for this. It has to go through the city like this. It has to go through as a special act. Home rule petition, and then obviously forward up to the State House, and for the legislative process, and hopefully signed by the governor into law. And in that fact, when that happens, then his pension will go from a 72% to 100%.
Okay. Okay. That's yeah. I mean, don't read anything into my question. I'm trying to figure out how understand the process and how this works, and I haven't dealt with this before as being relatively new to the council. Okay, I think that's all I have. Thank you very much, and back to you, Chair.
You're welcome, Councilor Weber, and thank you again for allowing us to testify today.
Thank you, Council Weber, as always, for your extremely thoughtful questions. So this special act, and I do have a couple questions and would love to review some of the language changes based on the changes to the special acts that the legislature has done in the past. A quick question for you, Mr. O'Reilly. So this act is intended to offset the fact that Lieutenant Bracken can't earn anything post-retirement. As part of Section 7 under the accidental disability and superannuation, you had talked about the fact that after 1 year, a retiree can earn up to the difference between what they would have earned in the position plus $15,000. Is there anything in state law statute that says that once he gets his 100%, he cannot work or is limited in any part-time work?
I don't know I don't know if there's really anything in the statute, but I think it's just by the fact that he is totally incapacitated. I'm sure if he did, it would be reported through the IRS to the retirement system, just like anybody who works. Anybody who's off on a disability, they would submit to the retirement system their W-2s every year. So, you know, he would have to submit that, and I believe it would obviously raise a red flag. The whole idea here is that he can't. He just physically can't. So I think that's kind of the premise. I don't know if there's actually language. I'm pretty experienced in Chapter 32, but it has been said that it is the largest and probably one of the most complicated statutes in the Mass General laws. So, so not that I'm aware of, but I think, like I said, it goes without saying. Like, you're receiving 100% pension, you're totally incapacitated, from any outside earnings. That's, it is what it is. I don't know if that answers the question, but I don't think there's anything specifically that says he cannot earn at all. But I can look into that and get that answer back within, I don't know, a day. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything specific that says that.
Thank you. And that is helpful. And so I am just trying to understand myself, because this is not the first time that we've seen this, but there have been in the past requests for 100%, and we'll talk about that. But just thinking about the facts here, which is that there is a difference between superannuation and accidental disability. So the superannuation is normal retirement, which we all know is 80% pension, and unrestricted outside work. And then the accidental disability retirement is that fixed 72 of regular compensation. But there are exemptions. And so, but if we're providing an additional exemption that an individual can be allowed to receive 100% of regular compensation, does that still mean, and the premise of all of that is that they are, incapacitated, they cannot work, which is the justification for the 100%. Does the exemption for the accidental disability retirement, after 1 year, they can earn up to the difference plus 15. I think there is potentially some, just based on some of my staff's work here, that allows for limited part-time work. So if we can just get clarification on that, we do want to just do our due diligence here, and that's the reason why I'm asking these questions. So I would appreciate if you have any information on that, just to send it over, and we'll
yes, I will do that, and I'm sure as well if you wanted to include it, because whatever you send up to whatever you sign off on and send to the legislature is what the law will be. But I'm pretty sure there'd be no objections from Lieutenant Bracken if you included it in there that he couldn't, because I can assure you that he can't. I know Lieutenant Bracken, and I know the pain and suffering he goes through every day. Sometimes it's to watch him try to walk is a feat in itself. But so if you wanted to include, if you were to include that language, just to be sure, like on your end, I get it, on the city's end, like you look at, I get it. I don't want somebody to get 100% pension and be able to go off and work in some capacity, because obviously, that would be, I think, disingenuous, right? But if like I said, if you were so inclined to add that language, I don't think you get any objection from Lieutenant Bracken. I mean, he's due to it, like I said. But I will try to find out if there is any specific language and send that to you.
That would be great. Thank you. And I understand that these are difficult, sensitive conversations, Lieutenant Bracken, and I think we as a council recognize the profound human impact involved, right? At the same time, as stewards of public funds, it's our duty to apply consistent standards and just make sure that special legislation is sustainable and justified, and that decisions are fiscally sound and equitable within the broader retirement system. So that's the framing for my remarks. I see that you unmuted. Is there anything that you'd like to add?
No, I appreciate that, Madam Chairwoman. I just, I can't work anyway, so I wouldn't care what kind of language you added to the bill.
Okay, very well. Thank you so much. And I will now ask my staff member, Ellie, to share the screen, just given some of the changes that the state legislature has done in the past to these sort of special laws. And please forgive me as I get my own notes together. Okay, great. So these are, what's in red are the changes. The State House has amended all home rule petitions like this in 2022. And to my knowledge, there was only 3 that have come forth, and they all came within the year of 2022 and had to, or were related to Boston Police Department employees. But this language that we see before us is standard in the format of all of the directives in the last 3 sentences here. Plus they add or they include 3 additional provisions. The first section talking about funds not being taxable. The second, allowing the petitioner to earn without refund penalty, and 3, clarifying that the benefits provided for in the home rule petition shall be covered by the Boston Retirement Board. Ellie, if you want to scroll down as well, I think it would make sense for us to, sorry, just stay right there. Yep. So in section 1, discussing what's highlighted here, which is the bolded, underlined 80%. So initially, in my understanding, Mr. O'Reilly, is that, and Mr. Lieutenant Bracken, that your request was to go to 100%. However, the original file of this petition didn't say that. It did say that Leo J. Bracken shall receive a yearly amount of pension equal to the regular rate of compensation, which would have been paid to him had he continued in his service as a Boston firefighter at the grade held by him at the time of requirement. And so this change is reflective of the existing super annuity. I'm sorry, let me just go to my notes here. And so, yeah, in existing MGL, it's limiting us to 80%. But can you just speak about the intentions here, just for clarification and transparency purposes?
I'm trying to follow. It's very hard to see on the screen. It's very, very small type. The initial petition in which we had sent up, the language that says refers to the amount that he would receive had he continued. That's basically the language implying 100%. Increasing it to 100%, because that's what he was making at the time of the injury. So that was the intent of the initial petition in which we sent. I'm not sure I'm following. Okay, indemnify for the hospital. So this 80% refers back to annual pension equal to 80%. shall receive. So when he reaches the maximum retirement age of 65, so is this the city's language, or is this what the State House, the legislature is saying? I understand where there's some confusion in where there's an 80% cap, but that 80% cap is for like I would say regular petitioners, like for retirement, whether superannuation or disability retirement. There's this cap of 80%. However, with this special law, the special law is to allow the amount to 100%. So I know, like I said, I can send this information to you as well. All the other special acts that are currently being paid out through the city of Boston retirement system, all is relatively same language, in which allowed them to receive 100%. Beyond the maximum retirement age. So I don't know if that answers your question, or it's just like I said, I'm still trying to read. It's very, very tiny print, but the intention is for 100% until that's a little better. Until he dies. I hate to say that, but yeah, I'm not sure. Like I said, is this because I've been involved through being the legislative agent for the firefighters and Macris as well, and just some other things. I've kind of been involved in other guys from other cities and towns who have petitioned for 100%, and there was never this language sent back for the 80%. So I'm not sure exactly where that came from, but the intent was 100%, and then when he predeceases his spouse, then she will receive 3/4 or 75% of what he was receiving, for the rest of her life, basically.
Right. Ellie, can you go up and thank you for that. So my question, I'm sorry, I probably did not articulate it that well, but was just to talk through the intent, only because, Ellie, if you can highlight everybody can see it, the strike through. So, and I believe this language was sent to Councilor Flynn, but we'll send it to you as well. This is what the State House amended all home rule petitions to look like. It was basically standardizing the format for all of the directives in the last 3 sentences that are struck through here. And so what we're seeing here is the standardized language that, following review and the process at the State House, this is what they have been edited to reflect. And so we also had to change, I think it said that there was a police officer, so we had to change to firefighter. Ellie, if you want to scroll down a little bit as well. I think the 80% too, this allowed for them in the State House to be very specific about the percentage, just because pre-2022, the petitions that were filed had similarly vague language. And so in response, the legislature added language to differentiate between the annual amount of pension the petitioner would receive pre and post attaining the mandatory retirement age. And so it's helpful to just reiterate and good to understand what percent they are asking for upon Mr. Bracken reaching the mandatory retirement age. Councilor Flynn, I see your hand is up.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, when I filed this, my intent was always to have Lieutenant Bracken for that percentage to be 100%. And in the document that I filed, in the home rule petition I filed, I highlighted a certain section. Well, in section 1, halfway down, Leo Bracken shall receive a yearly amount of pension equal to the regular rate of compensation which would have been paid to him had he continued in service as a Boston firefighter at the grade held by him at the time of his retirement. Upon the retirement of Leo Bracken, the retirement board of the city shall forthwith pay to him all amounts credited to him in the annuity savings fund of the retirement board of the city. So my intent, and also I know Michael O'Reilly's intent, was always that the percentage would be increased from 72 to 100%.
And thank you for that and that clarification. I think because it was not explicitly listed in section 1, we were, based on what the legislature has done with the 2022 home rule petitions, they have standardized this now to reflect what you see in front of you. And that includes the percentage. And I think I want to zero in on the percentage because we are limited. There is a max allowable percentage. It technically applies to superannuation retirements, but there may be some past precedent that has been used to benchmark this, but it allows up to 80% of a member's highest 3-year average salary. And so that's just a fact I want to get out there for discussion and conversation. Any feedback or thoughts on it? But this is something that we are capped at.
Madam,
Flynn, is your hand up?
yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. May I respond briefly, Madam Chair?
Please.
So even though there are cases that have increased a civil servant's percentage from 72 to 100%, so now there is, recently there is state legislation to cap it basically at 80% and not allow 100%. Is that the newest legislation, Madam Chair?
So it's not new. It's always been at 80%. Although this council, 2022, I was not the chair at this point. I believe the precedent is that it was 400%. And then I'm trying to get clarity right now, just looking through if the State House had changed based on their review and their processes, if the State House had just kept it at 80%. Which was not something that we had done, but potentially that the legislature did. I'm just trying to get an answer to that now.
Oh, okay.
80% was always there. It's just this council pushed forward 100%. Mr. O'Reilly?
Yes. As you, Madam Chair, thank you for allowing me to speak. As you pointed out, the 80% cap, that pertains only to superannuations, Chapter 32, Section 5. Of the Mass General Laws. We are talking about a completely different section, and I believe to Councilor Flynn's point, as far as legislation or change to the law, the Section 100, this is this special act, this special law is basically, taking this individual out of that, 72% or 80% threshold and putting them in that Section 100 threshold. It's actually, I forget the date. but after a certain date, it actually the rate for superannuation has changed to 75%. For example, myself, if I retire, if I go to 65 or retire, I can retire today. I've got my 32 years, but I would retire. My cap, including my annuity, would be 75%. I believe someone who's been on the job as long as, say, Lieutenant Bracken, would be on a superannuation retirement, would be at that 80%. So to me, it kind of nullifies, recognizing, the service and the avenue or the mechanism of which created or caused Lieutenant Bracken's injury. It's kind of void because I believe Lieutenant Bracken is 63 now, 64 now. So by the time this went through, he would probably be at maximum retirement age, and therefore this would be saying, he would only receive 80%, which is basically nothing more. And I shouldn't say nothing more, but it's basically a superannuation pension, which again. Granted, if it was a superannuation pension, there'd be no cap in any money he could earn as an electrician, say in this case, or if you're, if a member was a plumber or whatever, whatever they did, would be unlimited. So now, like I said, it's capping them in at 80%. With no ability to earn anything because he physically can't earn anything. So I don't understand. Like I said, I think when different pension reforms throughout the years, when the 80% went to the 75%, and these caps, they're all within. Like I said, the 80% cap is within Chapter 32, Section 5. The 72% is Chapter 32, Section 7. So like I said, this Section 100 is just that. It's a totally separate section, which it would then allow somebody to a member, a pensioner, to request the 100%. Just like it's. Not quite as drastic, obviously, but just no different from a line of duty death. If you're a police officer, firefighter, and you die in line of duty, you get 100%, for the rest of your life, and then your wife receives, 75% or 3/4 of that pension. But they don't say. In those cases, they don't say, and if you read Section 100, it talks about line of duty death, but it also talks about being completely and totally incapacitated as a result of injury sustained, responding to, working at, or returning from. For a firefighter, I know for a police officer, it's a little different, but for just a firefighter. It's directing. So, in the case of any, like I said, line of duty deaths, they don't, when that person who died in line of duty, if they receive in the Section 100 or their surviving spouse, they don't say, well, you receive this until the member who's got killed in line of duty would have reached the maximum retirement age. It's there for life, for the rest of their lives. That's the intent here, because it's just short of the dying part. It's due to these injuries. It's a total incapacitation. So like I said, I think they just and I went through this before with. Vanessa, I believe, in Councilor Flynn's office, and I do believe that I'll have to look back in my emails, but this, like I said, people, like I said, I think they're getting confused. I'm not sure 100% if if the legislature, I think somewhere in communication, it got confused as this, I believe, in my opinion. But what I would say is if we could send it up, removing that 80% and just send it up as as a section 100, which is what it is, that would obviously, like I said, it was always our intent. I know when when Lieutenant Bracken and I met with Councilor Flynn, that was the intent, and as Councilor Flynn has said, that that was always his intent. So I look at it as like to send it up, bring back those strike-throughs as previous, eliminate that section D. And then send it up as with the intent of a section 100. And, I guess at that point, if the legislature so chooses to send it back, obviously it's a home rule petition. I know the legislature, all they can do is correct, grammatical mistakes and whatnot. I think then we deal with it, that way at that point, if the legislature does, decide to send it back. But like I said, it kind of defeats the purpose. By the time this goes through, Lieutenant Bracken will be at mandatory retirement age, so it would be kind of all for naught, in my opinion. But so yeah, that would be, I think my request is that we send it up the way it was written, Madam Chair, if that's possible, and then let the legislature kick it back if they decide that it's it's wrong. But like I said, in since 2010, been up the State House, as a legislative agent and a lobbyist, that's, like I said, a standard boilerplate language is what Councilor Flynn had filed. I can actually forward to you, if you like, all the other special acts in which were approved by the City of Boston and the legislature.
Thank you.
That would help.
So I understand that. So what you're seeing in front of you is, in the red lines, is what the State House has amended what the City of Boston has sent forward. And so that's where we are trying to get ahead of that and saying that the State House, the legislature has gone through this, there is this precedent. And so we're getting ahead of any potential changes and reflecting that here in this process of what they have set the framework or standardized the format to be, which is this in the red here. And so I think just to clarify what you're saying, you want the City Council to move forward with the 100%, regardless of the 80% being the max, and see if the legislature sends it back.
That's correct, Madam Chair. If the city would see fit to do that, that would be my request, and I don't want to speak for Lieutenant Bracken, but I'm sure it'd be his request as well. To send it up that way, and again let the legislature. Like I said, I've been involved in a number of these things for other cities and towns. Sometimes when you learn a new trade, it can, but because I've been doing this for folks for other cities and towns and whatnot, I don't actually think that this is, if they understand it correctly, the legislature, that there's a cap, because that's why it's a special law. That's why it's a special act. It's taking you outside of that cap, if you will. And so, yeah, if the city would see fit to send it up that way, it would obviously be much appreciated. And like I said, always our legislative intent was for Lieutenant Bracken to receive 100%, of the compensation which he would have received as he continued as a fire lieutenant.
Thank you. And just one quick question before I go to Council Weber, because his hand has been up quite a bit. You say that you do this in other municipalities. Has this happened elsewhere? And then, actually, I'll just keep it at that and then go to Council Weber.
No, they've never sent it back with any kind of cap because, like I said, this special act is taking it out of, taking his pension out of 32.5 or 32.7 in his case because it's a disability pension. So no, I have never, and like I said, I have 22, 23 different special acts just through the city of Boston that have also been approved that way. Different various police officers, firefighters, and whatnot. Yeah, I have never, and like I said, this came up earlier in the conversation with Council Flynn's office, and after explaining it to them, I believe Vanessa went through the your council, the city council's council, and you know, I think they kind of got the determination that it would be 100%. To, you know, if it came up that way, that's what the legislature would deal with. Yeah, I've never seen, and I don't. My other thing, I guess, is you know, until the city approves this special act, you know, I think, and I don't know if this, I'm confused, but like, so this special act, the language of the special act, this specific special act, it was sent to the legislature, and the legislature looked at it and sent it back this way, because I've never heard of that process either. You know, it's normally doesn't get seen by the legislature until it actually goes up as a bill. You know, I have spoke to Councilor Consalvo, who's waiting if the city so chooses to approve this and send it to legislature. Councilor Consalvo, and I've spoke to him in his office, and they are prepared and will file this as 100%. I didn't get any, there was no indication through his office that this would be, you know, this would be capped at 80%, because, like I said, it's not a superannuation, and it would go outside of Section 7 and basically put them in Section 100. So.
And just to clarify, this is through previously filed home rule petition. So this language is coming directly from the State House. Council Weber.
Thanks. So I guess just trying to finish this kind of questions. So in terms of how this works, Section 100, I think it's called, basically, if someone dies in the line of duty, you know, their family gets 100%. They don't get the 72% disability or 80%. They get 100% they get their salary instead of their pension benefits, and it puts them up to 100%. And I don't think it talks about, or if they're incapacitated, but from what I see, that deals with, like, if there's a child who's getting the benefit, it continues for the benefit of the child who's over the age of 18 and physically or mentally incapacitated. But okay, it just seems like through the special law, you're pointing to 100, but there's no mechanism under 100, or under Section 100, that would allow you to do this. But we're saying, like, in these special circumstances, you know, we're trying to help somebody who's been injured and can't earn. Am I right about that, or has the state legislature created some mechanism for this, or are we really just kind of trying to ask them to sort of change the how they usually do things in this circumstance for Lieutenant Bracken. I want to make sure I'm explaining this correctly, Michael, to people who are asking. But if you say it's under section 100, it's just my 5-second reading of section 100 while you're talking makes me think that, this is sort of like we're trying to use the special law here to apply it, but it's a one-off case. It's not actually contemplated under the law, or maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I'm reading it myself. So I think, it's like I said, it's just that it's a special act, it's a special law. It's to it's to increase that disability pension from the 72% to 100%, which you would, like I said, you would receive, because he is totally incapacitated through the key is responding to returning from or working at an incident. But yeah, it's to
I hear you. So section 100, the title of it is pensions to surviving spouses of firefighters, police officers, or correction officers killed in performance of their duties. So I think the better argument is like, look, we have, a situation here that's not contemplated by the law, and somebody, I don't want to point to section 100 where it's like, thankfully for Lieutenant, Bracken and his family, he's not killed in the performance of his duties. I don't know if that, but so has anybody litigated this issue in the past, or it just gets approved by the state legislature in your experience?
I don't think it's ever been litigated. It's just like I said, it's just been a procedure over time, that due to specific or certain circumstances outside of, your ordinary accidental disability retirement, the city's approving to increase that pension from 70 to 100%. I don't think it's ever been litigated. I don't think it's ever had to. Like I said, I can provide you with all the special acts currently that we have, and we're paying out to different various police officers and firefighters going back to probably the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, I do think that. Yeah, I remember an attorney I used to work with said that, like, judges like to do what other judges have done. It's like, I think it helps to just know, how common a practice it is as a guide. What the norm is, and obviously, I think Rep Consalvo, supports this. That also has a lot of weight, I think, for me at least, given his experience and everything. So, no, thanks a lot. I'm again trying to just connect the dots and be able to explain what we're doing, and because I'm coming to this brand new, not having been here in 2022, and I appreciate the answers. Thanks, Chair.
Yeah, like I said, I will send them over to you, Councilor Weber. I'll send them to everybody on the committee as well. It gives you at least some reference, something you can refer to as far as the past practice, if you will, and these would be just through the city of Boston. There's obviously numerous other ones throughout the 104, 105, including state teachers retirement systems throughout the state.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Thank you, Chair. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to drop off the meeting, but I'm happy to look at this stuff once, Chair, you decide on the final language. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Council Weber. And I think it is clear that we need to workshop this a little bit. I think that we all can agree that we want to help Lieutenant Bracken as best as we can. I just want to make sure that we are all on the same page and that we are, again, just doing our due diligence as a council and within this committee. Council Flynn, I see that your hand is up. Would love to go to you. And I think for the purposes, just seeing that there are 2 dockets on the agenda and we have Mr. Sullivan waiting, what your thoughts are about, putting a pin in this, workshopping it, making sure that we are all operating from the same language. That was my assumption, so I apologize. But we could go to you for any comments that you may have. Let's work together on this, and then we could switch to docket 0550.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I was listening closely to the conversation and understand the issue well. I do want to highlight one final point, Madam Chair, on the home rule petition that I filed. I highlighted section 1, but I also want to highlight section 2 in my written document for the home rule petition. And my point is, I agree with Michael O'Reilly. This was always intended to be for 100%. In section 2 of the home rule petition that I wrote, I just want to highlight one sentence. Leo Bracken shall be entitled to receive the indemnification for all hospital, medical, and related expenses that have been or may be incurred after the date of his retirement as a result of the injury sustained by him while in the performance of his duties under section 100 of chapter 41 of the general laws. That was always my intent. I know that was always Michael O'Reilly's intent, and I would want to see us send it to the State House with 100% language in there, and then give an opportunity for Representative Consalvo to make the case also to his colleagues. Is also an important part of that. But one thing I do want to highlight, Madam Chair, is I don't want to see someone, a dedicated city employee, that has basically lost his career due to negligence of the city of Boston, in my opinion, have to financially struggle and not have dignity in retirement due to a tragic fall, not because of any wrongdoing by Lieutenant Bracken, but by conditions that should have been addressed previously. And it seems like these conditions are still taking place, but we should not penalize someone, in my opinion. We should not penalize someone or their family for going out on retirement, basically forced medical retirement. They're not able to do the job. And not only that, because you're going out in forced retirement, your family is going to financially suffer as well. I can't support that terrible injustice, and I think it's important for us to send this paperwork up to the State House with the 100% wording, and I'll also work, and whoever else wants to work with Representative Consalvo and others. But I think the Bracken family deserves that level of respect.
Thank you, Councilor Flynn. And as I mentioned earlier, we want to honor and support those who have made extraordinary sacrifices. And we must also approach every decision, these sorts of decisions, with care and balancing that compassion and understanding, as I mentioned earlier, the implications to the broader retirement system and and just understanding because there has been in the past 3 years changes, that we are in line with those changes, that the work of this committee in particular is sound, and that we are doing our due diligence. And so just co-sign all of that and wanted to supplement that as well. I commit to working on this and ensuring that we're all on the same page, and that, I would like to see Mr. Bracken receive the fullest benefits that he possibly can. And we'll commit to working with Rep. Consalvo as well to ensure that what we're sending up there is something that he could certainly co-sign his name to, and make sure that it is successful in his advocacy efforts. So I think for the purposes of this discussion, we can say that we will workshop this a little bit more. We'll work together. We'll partner with Rep. Consalvo, who used to be counselor, and then switch the conversation to docket 0550. Thank you so much, Lieutenant Bracken, for being here. Mr. O'Reilly, we appreciate you, and we will certainly be in touch and be in communication about next steps. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Well, thank you all. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Councilor Flynn.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
Okay, we're going to transition to docket 0550. This is a petition for a special law regarding an act relative to the pension of Michael Sullivan, sponsored by Councilor Flynn. I believe we have Mr. Sullivan on the Zoom. Thank you for your patience, Mr. Sullivan. The objective of this petition is to authorize the Boston Retirement Board to treat Sullivan's previous service with the Warwick, Rhode Island Police Department between December 2000 and October 2025 as credible service for calculating his Massachusetts pension. This would be an exception to standard mass retirement laws, which typically do not credit out-of-state service unless explicitly permitted by statute. And so I would love to, because you're here, Mr. Sullivan, provide your testimony. Thank you for being here, and thank you as well for your service.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councilor Flynn, thank you for sponsoring this bill. Do you want me to present my statement, Madam Chair?
Yes, please.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Michael Sullivan. I serve as a Boston police officer for the past 20 years. I'm currently a sergeant detective with the Crimes Against Children Unit. I am submitting this statement in support of a home rule petition requesting that the City of Boston recognize my 5 years of prior service that I completed as a police officer with the City of Warwick, Rhode Island, in Rhode Island. Before joining the Boston Police, I began my law enforcement career in Warwick. During that time, I was a first responder to the station nightclub fire in 2003, one of the deadliest fires in U.S. history. My very first call after completing my field training was the suicide of a 15-year-old child that hanged herself. Responding to these tragedies created defining experiences in my life and instilled in me a deeper commitment to public service and the protection of children. Since becoming a Boston police officer, I have continued to serve with integrity and compassion. I currently work in the Crimes Against Children Unit, where I investigate and oversee complex cases involving the online exploitation of children. This role demands not only investigative skill and emotional strength, but also an unwavering focus on protecting the most vulnerable members of our society. Over the course of my Boston police career, I have been honored to receive 2 medals of honor and the William J. Taylor Award. These honors are a reflection of the serious responsibilities I have undertaken, and that I remain deeply committed to the City of Boston, serving with distinction. This home rule petition rightly acknowledges the core professional responsibilities often remain consistent across state lines, and that recognizing prior services enhances recruitment, fairness, and workforce continuity. First responders carry out critical work under similar conditions and training, regardless of the state in which they serve. The 5 years I served in Warwick were marked by the same risks, responsibilities, and public trust as the 20 years I've spent serving Boston. My request is not for special treatment, but for equitable recognition of a full law enforcement career that has been dedicated to the service of others. This petition does not seek to alter state retirement law broadly. It seeks local discretion to acknowledge credible out-of-state service on a case-by-case basis. I believe this approach aligns with Boston's values of fairness, professionalism, and respect for public service. Thank you for your time and thoughtful consideration on this request and your ongoing support of those who serve the city of Boston. And I'll be honored to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much. And for my colleagues, there are relevant documents in the folder, including a personal statement, a resume, and a letter from the Warwick Police Department. I will go to Councillor Flynn, and I don't know whoever's still on, but I do just want to flag a couple of things, but we'll go to Councillor Flynn for his questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for chairing this important meeting. Thank you, Sergeant Detective Michael Sullivan, as well. This is a home rule petition for Sergeant Detective Michael Sullivan, as he mentioned, who is seeking to transfer his honorable, credible service from the city of Warwick, Rhode Island, to the city of Boston retirement system. Before serving at the Boston Police Department, Sergeant Detective, as he mentioned, served as a police officer with the city of Warwick from December 2000 to October 2005, during which time he paid into the city of Warwick, Rhode Island retirement system. On October 2005, Michael Sullivan transferred to the Boston Police Department and has served honorably for 20 years. Over the past 8 years, he has served in the Crimes Against Children Unit, protecting residents and children of the city of Boston and Greater Boston as well. In the time he has served at the Boston Police Department, he earned two medals of honor in the prestigious William J. Taylor Meritorious Service Award. Currently, while in-state officers from other cities can laterally transfer their credible police service to the Boston retirement system, there is no such way at this time for qualified out-of-state police officers to transfer their credible service. I understand that. Mr. Sullivan, his petition looks to see how we can work within the system to transfer credible service into the Boston retirement system. There is a way for out-of-state teachers that have a path toward retirement, and it's a good path. And I think there should be a path for first responders as well. Boston, as we all know, and something I've advocated for 8 years in the Boston City Council, we don't have enough police officers working in the city of Boston. We are recruiting all the time from various cities and towns across Massachusetts, across New England, to come to Boston. I believe it's the best police department in the country. But I also think when a police officer comes here, we should be giving that police officer a little bit of support in terms of recognizing their previous service as a police officer and recognizing their time that could count towards retirement. I understand this issue very well, because this is something I have advocated for, is getting more police officers into Boston, and this could be one way to help during that period of time. I don't think we're giving Sergeant Detective Sullivan anything. I think he's just asking for fairness, or for a fair hearing. I think he should receive this based on his experience. I had the opportunity, and I'll be upfront, I had the opportunity to work with him on issues impacting some of the most exploited residents of the city, and I know he's an outstanding, dedicated police officer, police detective, committed to ensuring the safety of residents. It's really residents of the work he does. It's residents of Massachusetts. Certainly, it's the residents of Boston. But as we all know, what happens in Chelsea or what happens in Brookline or Quincy has an impact on Boston. So it's really his commitment to public service here in the city of Boston, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I'm just asking, Madam Chair, for fair consideration for this outstanding police officer that has been here for a long period of time and is just asking for a little bit of respect. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Councilor Flynn, and we certainly do respect Mr. Sullivan's service. I appreciate you being here. And we're going to present the facts. We're going to present what is currently the landscape that we have to navigate. And so, and it'll help frame the conversation, and it may help as we both, Councilor Flynn, you are the original sponsor of this. It may help our conversation in trying to strategize how we now move this forward. I do want to, I'm going to zero in on the, what's it called? The credible service provision. So this is under Chapter 32, Section 4. So we did talk about superannuation quite a bit today. It's based on two factors. So it's credible years of service, average annual compensation. It generally excludes out-of-state service unless specifically allowed by statute or special act, which this is. Ellie, do you have these Section 4 of, there we go, of credible service? And so I can summarize because this is a lot, and we're happy to share this around for folks for their edification. But this is the section that governs what counts as service toward a Massachusetts public pension. And so the service types that are recognized are: one, active membership service within Massachusetts, prior Massachusetts public service before joining a retirement system, paid and unpaid leaves, some military and federal service. It narrows categories for teachers, as you correctly stated, Councilor Flynn. It narrows categories for teachers, such as out-of-state teaching under specific sections, certain federal and vocational service, Peace Corps, maternity leaves, all of that. The most important thing, though, is unfortunately based on what is here. Mr. Sullivan's Rhode Island Police Service is not covered under these existing provisions. And so that leaves us now with the opportunity to do this special law. Although, and Councilor Flynn, please correct me if I'm wrong, there has been no precedent for somebody within a police department. There's only a way to do this for teachers. Is that correct? Or there hasn't been any, let me rephrase that question. There have not been any police officers or firemen or whoever is under the same designation that has done this particular special law yet.
Madam Chair, I think that is accurate, an accurate portrayal. I also will just respond very briefly that these are trying and challenging times in terms of recruitment, as we all know, for police officers. We're having a difficult time recruiting men and women to become police officers here in Boston. Other cities are facing the similar challenges as well. But this might be a way to help as we recruit police officers into Boston that are already police officers, is acknowledging their past service to their city or town, even state, and come up with a system that recognizes their past experience. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Absolutely. And I think to that point, there are ways in which that we could reframe, that we could amend potentially the credible service, where it is very specific for teachers, and then of some other narrowly tailored roles. We had the Peace Corps volunteers, all of that, intermittent firefighting and police work. Although the way in which the special law is written, it doesn't qualify under this particular section. But I agree with you. I think that we are trying to do our best to recruit and retain dedicated public servants, and that includes the brave men and women of our police department. And this is a way in which we could do that. I think now I want to do basically two concurrent, so it's a yes and, it's not an either or. So please don't think that this is, me saying that I don't want to move this forward. I think that we try our best to tailor this in a way that it would be successful in the State House, while also trying to solve the broader systemic issue of not having police or firefighters be able to go into, there's no way, there's no avenue, there's no pathway for them right now to do that. And I think that we also need to solve for that as elected officials. And so I would like to see both happen. And I think for this particular docket, it's a unique exception. And so, I want to confirm, there's a couple of things that I would like to just make sure that I'm doing to ensure that due diligence, transparency, and legal soundness. And it's a couple of things. It's just confirming legal authority. And so we'll confer with our, and convene with our legal counsel. I also want to bring in corporation counsel just to make sure that this petition is legally sound and structured correctly. I also think we need to identify that the city has the authority to seek special legislation for out-of-state service under Chapter 32. I think it's important for all of us to remind ourselves that teachers are able to do this, but the precedent of public safety officials, like, has this ever been granted before elsewhere, not just in Massachusetts, but elsewhere in the country, something that we can look to and point to. I also want to bring in, and I don't know if you've spoken to anybody, Councilor Flynn, but somebody from the Boston Retirement Board. They typically don't like to get involved in these one-off cases, but because this is such an exception, I want to understand, the physical impact, but if they support this, and whether he might be eligible for a buyback. And so those are just things that are coming up at the forefront of my mind before we move this forward. I don't know if you have any thoughts. I want to stop. I just spoke a lot and provide space for anybody that wants to provide comment or questions.
Yes, Madam Chair. May I speak briefly?
Please.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So what I understand, and I have participated in a buyback program, because I was actually a bit of buyback time due to my service in the military, so I got credited with service. So I'm very familiar with this issue, but what I understand is Michael Sullivan paid money into the Warwick, Rhode Island retirement system, and he has a certain number of years in the Warwick retirement system. So basically, what would happen, Madam Chair, if those years did transfer over into the Boston retirement system, I also think that he may or may not, based on buying back that those years of service, it might be a financial cost to him to basically buy back the years of service, so that they are transferred into Boston, because the money that he has been taken out and placed in the Warwick, Rhode Island retirement system would not need to be there, basically. It would need to eventually be in the Boston retirement system. But that would be up to Michael Sullivan, Detective Michael Sullivan, to ensure that he is in compliance with all the rules and regulations as it relates to how you purchase years of service in a buyback sense. So just wanted to highlight that. And I think Michael, Detective Sullivan, does have his hand up. But I want to stop there, Madam Chair, and I hope that information is somewhat helpful.
It is, and I do see. And is it Detective Sullivan? Is that you're correct? I apologize that I haven't been.
You can call me Mike. I'm fine with.
Okay.
My first name is fine. I'm not all that formal. So other states, from my limited research, like Florida does accept out-of-state public safety credible service for retirement purposes. Number two is, I agree with Council Flynn. I'd be paying money. I'd pay that 4 or 5 years into the Boston retirement system. That would accrue interest over the next 8 to 10 years or whenever I retire. And I don't see much of a financial liability for the city of Boston because my contribution would be several thousands of dollars plus the interest the pension fund would earn over those 8 to 10 years would be pretty significant. But there are other states that do allow this to happen, and believe me, I am well aware of the recruitment challenges we face in the city of Boston right now and throughout policing. And I have been in contact with other police officers who would love to come to Boston and Massachusetts if they could transfer their time.
Thank you so much. And I'm so sorry. I was my computer might be going in and out. Can you just repeat what you had said? So I had heard that you said Florida does this, which is great. We'll look into that. And then what you were saying is that you've already contributed how many X amount of dollars. You don't have to get specific, but generally what you were saying, if you wouldn't mind repeating.
Yeah, right. I would take them. I would take whatever retirement I would have paid into the city of Boston over those course of 5 years, and I would essentially give a check to the Boston retirement system to buy back those 4 or 5 years of time. And then that would stay in the Boston retirement system earning interest until I retired. So I don't get away with it free. I have to pay into it as if I were here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And Madam Chair, just as an example, when I bought back my retirement years, I think it cost me, I don't know, it may have cost me close to $15,000 or $20,000, which is a significant amount of money. But I do think Detective Sullivan knows that. Sergeant Detective Sullivan knows that it is a significant cost to him. But I think what it does. It recognizes his commitment, his longtime commitment now to the residents of Boston. I think you've been on now for 20 years or so. But it's showing him respect. But I also think it's an opportunity, as you mentioned, Madam Chair, to have a further conversation, and as Detective Sullivan mentioned, have a further conversation about can we have a more structured rule where we are encouraging police officers to at least apply to Boston from out of state, knowing that their service would be recognized here at the Boston Retirement Board. It would give them more of an incentive to come to Boston as well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And I apologize for outside construction noise. Yeah, I mean, where we don't have to do any of these special laws is the goal. We just make it the law. I think that's something we should definitely be looking into. I will commit to doing that in partnership with you, Councilor Flynn. I think it is a good idea if we are seeing the staffing shortages across the district and across the Commonwealth. So I think that I do not want to hold this up. I just want to make sure again that we are doing our due diligence. Councilor Flynn, can I commit to working with you in your office I don't know, I would love, like I said, to just loop in the Boston Retirement Board, meet with them, and understand from general counsel and as well as corporation counsel, how we can make sure that this will be able to withstand passage in the State House.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I'd welcome the opportunity to work with you and the Boston Retirement Board and General Counsel to meet and talk about this issue. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. I don't see any other colleagues on. Detective Sullivan, I apologize that I did not provide this to past panelists, but is there anything else that you'd like to add?
No, I just appreciate your time and Council Finn's time and the City Council's time in reviewing this and giving it some consideration. I sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you. It's the least we can do for your service. We appreciate everything that you do for the City of Boston. And thank you for being here. And again, thank you for your patience with both dockets being scheduled.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Flynn, do you feel comfortable to wrap, understanding that we do have some homework to do and we have our marching orders? I apologize. I don't have a list of action steps, but I think I did articulate them earlier. We can just circle back and make sure that we're in communication so we can move both dockets expeditiously.
Yes, I am comfortable with that, Madam Chair, and I'm looking forward to working with you and the Retirement Board and the legal counsel team as well. So I'll make myself available, whatever works for everybody, and I'm looking forward to working with you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. I'm just confirming because this is a hearing. Do we have any public testimony for central staff?
No public testimony.
Okay, and I want to shout out Megan, both Megans and Councilor Flynn and my staff for their work on this. So with that, this hearing on docket 0549 and 50 is adjourned. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.